A judge ruled today to take the money away from the couple and to account for every single dime that was raised in a GoFundMe account.
They used thousands of it to go on lavish trips, shopping sprees, and to gamble.
You wake up and check your phone like any other morning. But this time, the headlines flashing across every major news site feel different. They're louder, heavier, and almost unbelievable. The FBI has officially taken control of a massive $5 million estate owned by the parents of Carmelo Anthony. This mansion, once a shining symbol of wealth, influence, and family pride, is no longer a place of celebration. Instead, it now stands as the center of a dark criminal investigation that has the entire country talking. The pictures spread fast, armed federal agents at the gates, unmarked trucks pulling into the driveway, and investigators carrying boxes of evidence from the once glamorous home. Videos of the raid instantly went viral, making neighbors and strangers alike stop in shock. For years, the estate had hosted glamorous parties, gatherings full of laughter, and celebrations of success. Now, the same halls were being searched for signs of hidden secrets.
My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false.
Authorities didn't waste any time. They moved quickly, convinced that the mansion was directly tied to an ongoing first-degree murder case. Financial records had raised red flags, showing unusual movements of cash and undisclosed assets. To the public, it looked like a simple property seizure. But to investigators, this was more than just a house. It was the start of uncovering something much bigger. One investigator explained bluntly, "We're following the money trail. And this house is only the beginning." Prosecutors believe the mansion wasn't only a family home. They suspect it doubled as a safe place for financial transactions, a hub where money connected to the crime was stored and moved around. When news of the seizure was announced in court, the reaction was instant. Whispers filled the room, and even seasoned attorneys looked unsettled. One of the lead prosecutors leaned in and told reporters that the government was determined to secure every piece of evidence before it disappeared. But across the courtroom, the defense team sat frozen. Their confidence seemed to crack as they realized their client's world was falling apart piece by piece. What was once an empire of power and money now looked like it was slipping away in front of everyone's eyes. For supporters of the victim, the news was emotional. Some cried openly, saying justice was finally starting to shine through the shadows of money and influence. Others took to social media, posting that the fall of the mansion was proof that no amount of wealth could bury the truth. One comment captured the mood perfectly: they thought money could hide everything. Now, they don't even have their mansion. This left everyone asking, if federal agents uncovered an $8 million estate with ties to the crime, how many more hidden assets were waiting to be found? Imagine watching everything a family built being stripped away in real time, live on the internet, discussed on every channel, replayed on every phone screen. Would you feel sympathy for them? Or would you see it as a long overdue consequence? As prosecutors quietly laid out their newest findings, the sound of footsteps echoed through the silent courtroom. The FBI didn't just take the $5 million estate. They also seized another sprawling $8 million property linked to the Anthony family. Documents pulled from the raids showed shocking details: millions of dollars moved through bank accounts directly connected to these homes. Investigators believe some of those payments helped fund the murder plot. The allegations painted a terrifying picture. Officials said the mansion itself might have been used to hold secret meetings, to launder money, and to plan what happened before the crime ever took place. Reports revealed that wire transfers worth hundreds of thousands of dollars carried notes investigators claimed linked directly to the murder-for-hire scheme. Standing before the jury, the prosecutor declared firmly, this wasn't just a home. It was a command center. The words hit hard. People in the courtroom gasped when the phrase assassination payments was mentioned out loud. Members of the Met Cafe family sat in the gallery, looking toward the prosecution table with pale, strained faces. A supporter whispered under their breath, they'll never be able to buy their way out of this. Outside, clips of the raid flooded social media. Video after video showed agents hauling away evidence documents, computers, cash-filled envelopes, and locked safes. Users on Twitter and Facebook began calling the mansion the ultimate symbol of blood money. Every new detail left the public with the same haunting question: how deep does this conspiracy go? Was the home just a backdrop, or was it the very heart of a criminal operation? Soon, aerial shots of the $8 million property were everywhere. Once admired as a sign of prestige, it now appeared on screens marked with bold crime scene tape and large government seizure notices pinned to its gates. Inside the courtroom, prosecutors revealed even more surveillance footage from the estate itself. According to them, the tapes showed private meetings between the Anthony parents and individuals believed to be connected to the murder plot. The most disturbing discovery was hidden in a safe. Investigators found financial ledgers showing payments totaling more than $200,000, which they claim was funneled directly to the person hired to carry out the killing. When this evidence was shared, gasps filled the courtroom. The defense quickly pushed back. They argued that the payments were legitimate business transactions, twisted to fit the prosecution's story. One defense attorney shouted over the noise, insisting this was nothing more than an attempt to paint their clients as masterminds in a crime they didn't commit. Outside, reporters captured the chaos. Protesters demanded accountability, waving signs with words like "Blood Money Mansion" and "Truth over Wealth." On social media, hashtags like "Justice for Metaf" and "Dirty Millions" surged, sparking fiery debates. People were angry, pointing out how money and influence had been used like weapons. But still, doubts lingered. Was this mansion really the core of a criminal empire, or was it just an easy target for prosecutors eager to strengthen their case? If you were on that jury, would you see the mansion as a weapon, or just a family home caught in the storm? The prosecutor advanced to the next slide of their presentation, and the room grew tense. Projected onto the wall were images of stacks of bank statements. The hum of the projector filled the silence. The records revealed multiple six-figure transfers tied directly to accounts linked to the estate. Federal agents testified that the mansion wasn't just luxurious real estate. They described it as a financial hub where money was moved, hidden, and laundered through offshore companies. One investigator went so far as to say, every brick in that mansion was bought with blood money. Defense attorneys leapt to their feet, calling the claims inflammatory and unsupported. But the judge allowed the testimony, leaving the jury to decide whether these damning statements were believable. Meanwhile, the Anthony family sat quietly, some holding hands, others staring at the ground. To them, this wasn't just about losing property, it was about watching the place where they once gathered for holidays, birthdays, and milestones now being painted as a crime scene. Outside the courthouse, protests intensified. People with bullhorns shouted for justice. One poster showed an image of the mansion stamped with the word "seized" in bold red letters. Others read "Murder for Millions ends here." On social media, people piled on. Some believed the FBI was right for seizing property before a conviction. Others worried it was too soon, that it could unfairly sway the jury. This division sparked the ultimate question: is this a necessary step toward justice, or has the government gone too far too fast? Just when it seemed things couldn't get more shocking, new reports hit the news cycle. The FBI announced they had proof the mansion was used as a safe house during the murder plot. Court documents revealed encrypted phones, stacks of hidden cash, and surveillance footage of suspicious cars entering late at night. Many of those vehicles were linked to individuals with long criminal histories. Prosecutors doubled down. They pointed to text messages, allegedly sent from inside the house, directly tied to Austin Metaf's killing. Screens in the courtroom displayed blurry stills from the surveillance videos, making the accusations feel even heavier. For the family sitting in the gallery, it was devastating. The house they once believed stood for privilege and untouchable success was now being described as the very nerve center of a chilling crime. Online, people were furious. Comments poured in, they lived like royalty while plotting murder. Others added, this proves money can buy power and cover but not forever. And so, the story continues to unfold. A mansion once celebrated as a dream home now sits behind federal tape, its secrets laid bare for the world to judge. The debate hasn't stopped since the FBI stormed that mansion. On one side, people believe the financial records and seized property prove beyond doubt that the family's wealth was tied to something darker than anyone imagined. On the other side, voices rise in protest, arguing that this feels more like punishment before proof, a trial by headlines rather than evidence. And caught in the middle is a community, a grieving family, and a nation trying to decide what justice should look like. Inside the courtroom, you can feel the weight of the moment when the prosecutor clicks to the next slide. The giant screen lights up, and suddenly, the entire room goes silent. What appears isn't a photograph or a video clip, it's a ledger. A plain, leather-bound financial record pulled directly from the mansion's safe during the raid. At first glance, it looks like ordinary bookkeeping. But as the camera zooms in on the numbers, the details send a chill through the gallery. Large wire transfers. Envelopes of cash. Cryptic notes written in shorthand. Each line looks like part of a puzzle investigators claim to have solved. And then it hits the biggest entry on the page. A single payment of $230,000. The figure flashes across the projection, and instantly, the courtroom gasps. People exchange looks of shock. Some whisper prayers. Others shake their heads in disbelief. Prosecutors say that this one payment, hidden through middlemen and filtered through multiple accounts, eventually landed in the hands of the man accused of carrying out the murder. One federal agent even called it the smoking gun, the undeniable link between the family's fortune and the violent crime that destroyed another life. With a steady voice, the agent told the court, every number in this ledger has a story. These aren't normal costs of living. These are payments for operations. The defense immediately jumped to their feet. Their lead attorney thundered that the numbers were being twisted to fit a false narrative. He insisted these were loans, business transactions, investments taken completely out of context. You're trying to turn ordinary financial dealings into the blueprint of a crime, he shouted. His voice echoed through the chamber, but despite his passion, the room stayed locked on that ledger. Because no matter what words were spoken, the image of that giant number on the screen lingered. $230,000 listed like a simple entry, but now loaded with suspicion. Across the aisle, the Met Cafe family sat stiff and silent. Some of them clasped hands, their faces pale and heavy. Imagine being told that your family's home, your wealth, your very legacy had been reduced to a few lines in a ledger that now stood accused of funding a killing. The weight of it showed in their eyes. At one point, the judge had to slam his gavel down, the sharp crack silencing a flood of shouts, tears, and objections coming from the back rows. Outside, the story was already spreading faster than anyone could control. News vans lined the streets, their satellite dishes pointed toward the sky, broadcasting every new detail to a public hungry for answers. Cameras flashed as FBI agents carried box after box into waiting black SUVs. Each box labeled evidence filled with hard drives, handwritten notes, and financial records pulled from the mansion's rooms. By evening, headlines had shifted from speculation to certainty. $8 million mansion seized. Parents charged. Financial ledger exposed. What had once been whispers of scandal had now exploded into a full-blown national firestorm. The impact on the community was impossible to ignore. People who once admired the family's success now stood stunned, looking at yellow caution tape strung across the mansion gates. A reporter caught one woman staring at the scene. She shook her head and said quietly, "We used to see luxury cars pull in and out every day. We thought it was a dream life. Turns out, we were living next to a crime scene." On social media, the anger boiled over. Hashtags filled timelines: blood money, justice for Austin, truth over wealth. Some demanded the harshest punishment, saying the ledger was proof that could not be denied. Others begged for patience, warning that emotions can cloud judgment and that numbers alone shouldn't decide guilt. And this is where the country now finds itself torn between outrage and caution, between fury and fairness. In court, the defense is holding its ground. Their lead lawyer argued again, his voice raw with anger, seizing a home before a conviction sets a dangerous precedent. This is punishment before proof. To him, the FBI's actions are not about justice but about destroying a family's name before all the facts are laid out. But prosecutors refuse to step back. They insist the evidence is overwhelming, that the seizures are not about headlines but about protecting truth. They point to the ledger, the surveillance footage, the hidden safes, and the encrypted phones. They tell the jury and the public, this is not coincidence. This is not misunderstanding. This is a conspiracy built on wealth, hidden behind walls of privilege. The tension in the courtroom grows heavier each day, as both sides dig in for a fight that promises more shocking twists. Reporters describe the atmosphere as suffocating. Every session feels like a slow-motion unraveling of a life once envied by many. In the back row sits the Metcalf family, the family of the victim. They don't speak. They don't shout. They don't argue. They simply sit with bowed heads, their grief a constant reminder of the life lost in the middle of this storm. Every tear sliding down their cheeks seems to cut deeper than any piece of evidence. Their quiet presence keeps the central question alive: was all this wealth worth one person's life? Meanwhile, across the country, the conversation rages on. Was this mansion simply the pinnacle of success, a dream turned nightmare? Or was it something far worse, the vault of secrets that finally unlocked the truth? Because behind every headline, every photograph of agents carrying evidence, every gavel strike echoing through the courtroom, one question refuses to die. Was this just a house caught in the storm, or was it the heart of the crime itself?